What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, we're going to pick up with Ultimate Comics Iron Man. This is the fourth Iron Man mini-series in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. It is Marvel trying again to see if fans still love Ultimate Iron Man. And honestly, this one is okay, but it's still somewhat interesting. So if you do like today's comic book video, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. Now, the opening of this book is more showing Tony Stark being Iron Man in Canada, where a random train is in the process of being hijacked. Well, it does get hijacked, to be more exact. Either way, you have him flying in and begin the process of taking down the guys of this group on the train. Then get the conductor off the train so he can find a way to stop it. Honestly, you get the classic move where he tries to stop the train that is now a runaway train by just getting in front of it and using the strength of the Iron Man armor to make it come to a complete stop. When I say this opening scene barely does anything for the story, it barely does anything for the story. We then jump back in time and pick up with a younger Tony Stark. Also, we see him with a younger lady named Josie. Let us know that Josie was, of course, his girlfriend, but also they had started a company together. They were hoping the company they had made would have taken off. But when they are talking about the company, Howard Stark, the father of Tony Stark, appears, and of course we learn at this moment that Tony does not want any part of Stark Industries. He wants to make a new company with Josie, but his father says no and forces Tony to come with him to a ceremony to please the shareholders of the company. The next section of this book is back in the present day, where we see Tony at some big event where he begins to praise his father for what he started. Remember that Tony's father is dead, but with him being dead, well, the company was given over to, of course, Tony Stark. Except backstage, we see two men talking about making a deal that this man named Mr. Lee is trying to get access to Tony's company and tech, and he is paying an employee some big time money to complete this task. After the event, you have Tony and his human version of Jarvis get into the limo about to head home for the day. That is when Tony Stark gets a call from Carol Danvers, who in this universe, she is the chief of staff for the president. She never was any kind of hero. She was the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the ex-girlfriend of Tony Stark. She called about the incident with Tony Stark in the train in Canada, that since the Iron Man armor is technically government property and Tony Stark is an asset as well to the government, they have to make sure that he is okay, which of course he blows her off and tells Jarvis to send her pearls for her B-Day, aka birthday. Back in the past, we learned that Josie and Tony broke up since he is no longer going to be part of the company that he and she built together. She doesn't even want to see him anymore, except 6 months later when Tony is at home working on stuff, well, he comes to find out that a plane she was on crashed. Of course, she died in that plane crash. That leads into him and his father having a conversation where it is Howard Stark telling Tony to get over it and move on with his life, to the point he hands Tony a tablet to begin to work on something new for the company, not trying to help Tony through this loss. In the present day again, Tony gets a call that someone is trying to break into his company building. Well, one of them. So he goes to figure out what is going on. But when he arrives, well, he is confronted by a drone that begins to attack him out of nowhere. So you have Tony grab the drone to see who is controlling the drone. He asks his virtual version of Jarvis to trace it, and the location is coming from a moving truck. When Tony gets to the truck, well, no one is driving it. That is the moment you have Tony find a cell phone, and when he gets someone on the other side, well, they tell him that Stark Enterprise belongs to them, and this is a group called the Mandarin. That is when we see them being able to access the suit of Tony Stark and begin the process of a self-destruct sequence in his suit, making it seem like this could be the end for Tony Stark. You would think that we are going to pick up with Tony somehow being able to handle the self-destruct sequence in his suit, except we don't. We really pick up with Tony and human version of Jarvis now talking about what this Mandarin group was trying to steal and how they had failed. So everything is okay now. But that is when you have Carol Danvers actually come to meet Tony Stark in person, where again, she is concerned for Tony because of what just happened, with him working close to the government and the suit being part of the defense of America. Also, she knows about the group that tried to hack into Tony Stark's company. She tells them that there is a company known as South Pacific Financial that uses the same kind of virus to hack S.H.I.E.L.D. a while back. Now, to Carol Danvers, this is an actual group. When S.H.I.E.L.D. tries to get close to them, well, the Chinese government steps in and stops them. But for Tony, he knows that this group really does not exist, that Tony and his people keeps tabs on every company that could be a potential threat. The only thing they have on them is that they have been around for 20 years. They are a holding company, and they bought a lot of Soviet Union weapons a while back, which of course makes them look bad in the eyes of Tony Stark. So he goes on to say that this South Pacific group in China is their best lead that could help them with this Mandarin problem they have. To make things even crazier than they already were, where you have Tony find the building that is supposed to be owned by South Pacific Financial, this huge skyscraper, but the entire building is empty. Not one single person working there, and that is of course not normal. Also, when Tony gets inside the elevator, well, he sees this symbol that he only saw on the coin his father gave him a while back. The question is, what is the connection to the Mandarin to the coin Howard Stark had? Except before he is able to figure out what is the connection, well, that is when he's attacked by another drone out of nowhere. Now, this is not something Tony will be able to handle because this drone is able to give Tony a hard time. Once again, someone begins the process of hacking into the system of Tony Stark's suit, where they are able to cause him to get a concussion, but also make him pass out. Luckily, Jarvis was able to turn on the autopilot system to bring Tony Stark back home before something else could happen to him. Jumping back to the past again, we see Tony Stark and his dad having this meeting, and Howard Stark giving Tony a lesson that when you are working or trying to work with companies from China, you have to work your way up the chain of trust until you are able to meet up with the CEO of the company. There are levels you must pass before reaching the CEO of a company. The next day, we see Tony waking up after passing out from his head injury, where you have him again confronted by Carol Danvers. This is her telling him that she is tired of him always trying to handle things on his own, that he should try to use the military to handle this problem. He needs to work with other people, but of course, he is not listening and tells her that he is going to meet up with an old friend, someone who is in the military and can help him take care of this Mandarin problem. While he's away, he is hoping Jarvis can still look into the Mandarin group to learn more. Of course, this friend he's going to meet up with is Rhodey, aka War Machine. Remember that he works for the military. He is a pilot, but also remember that throughout the time of Ultimate Marvel Universe, the friendship between the two of them is complicated, since Ultimate Iron Man 1 and 2 are no longer canon. That with Ultimate Avengers 1, 2, and 3 told us that these two don't get along. They don't really talk anymore. But this is Tony asking for an old friend's help because someone is hacking into everything Tony owns. Now, before they can discuss more of this, well, the drones that are kept on this military base begin to go crazy and attack Iron Man and Rhodey while he's in the air piloting a plane. So of course you get this scene where Iron Man and Rhodey are trying to fight against these drones, but that is when Tony Stark gets a call from the Mandarin group. This is where they tell him that he was close to finding them when he went to China, but of course they only want to talk when they want to talk. They tell him the reason they are attacking him is because they want something back from him, which seems they are implying that the company and everything that is connected to the company was given by them. So they are going to keep attacking him until they get what they want. You have Tony and Rhodey being able to take out the drones, but still, this again is another situation where Iron Man was cutting it close on handling the problem. After that, Tony, Rhodey, and Carol Danvers have a sit-down where they discuss the fact that the Mandarin group is trying to take down everything Howard and Tony Stark have built, except also it seems like they want to control Tony's satellites. But you have Tony input that the only way they can do that is that they need his blood to be able to access the satellites. That is the biggest problem. The Mandarin group needs the blood if they want to control those things. This is also the moment you have Carol Danvers and Rhodey put it out there that for Tony, he is doing too much on his own, that he is just a man in an armored suit. He needs to trust people around him. But again, Tony doesn't feel like he can trust anyone at all. That is when we get this flashback of when Tony Stark was first confronted by Nick Fury after the supposed death of Howard Stark. How Tony kind of talks bad about his father, which is expected, except you have Nick Fury kind of defending Howard Stark and trying to convince Tony that his father was not all that bad. To Tony, the only thing Howard Stark left him is money and the coin. The coin was supposed to represent that there are no friends in the jungle, only predators, and that is it. With that flashback, Tony remembers that Nick Fury told him that Howard Stark came to him for help. Howard Stark came to S.H.I.E.L.D. for help. With that, that means S.H.I.E.L.D. must have files on Howard Stark in the Mandarin. So with Carol Danvers being able to give Jarvis and Tony Stark access to all of those files they have on the Mandarin and Howard Stark, well, they were able to use traveling information to figure out the island of where the Mandarin group could be hiding at. Except again, Carol Danvers tells Tony to wait for her to call for backup. He does not want to wait. He wants to end this now, and he leaves. Now, of course, we all know that with Tony going alone again, it means that he will find the island. At first, everything does seem okay, but once he is close to the island, they begin to attack him, and he is trying his best to dodge all of their attacks, but again, they are able to bring him down. So this wasn't a long section, it was a short, quick battle scene of him failing. Except this is the moment where we kind of learn about the Mandarin, because once he does crash into a room where you have this one guy who is a guard kind of make sure the Iron Man armor is shut down. That is when Tony Stark is confronted by twins, Taki and June, who tell him that Stark Enterprise actually belongs to them. hinting that they had a hand in the creation of Stark Enterprise. So with chapter 4, we learned the whole thing about the Mandarin, that it is an organization that basically helps build up big corporations all over the world, except they make sure that these corporations don't fall apart and fall in line as well. They speak in a way that Howard Stark did not fall in line, that he tried to break away and broke their trust. They also speak about how it was them who were the ones to really build up Stark Industries as it is now. And with them having the blood of Tony Stark, they are able to access the satellites and begin the process of controlling all of the drones he has in different military bases across the nation. So of course, it seems like these guys are getting what they wanted and bring down Tony Stark. Except of course, that is when they find out there is a second alert coming in. Someone else is trying to get on the island, and of course, that being Rhodey. He was able to fly into the island and land after being shot out of the sky to save Tony Stark. So you have Rhodey come in gun blazing and being able to take down the bodyguard that was working with these twins for the Mandarin. They go deeper into the base while Rhodey unties Tony Stark. This is the moment we learn that Rhodey had to clear a few things before he can call in his War Machine armor. And since that armor is not connected to Tony Stark's system, the Mandarin group can't control it. But also, you have Tony go after the twins while Rhodey goes back outside to deal with the drones on the island. Which leads into Tony confronting the twins, and we learn more about the Mandarin. The Mandarin is a computer system or a huge organization where the twins are just pawns of the group. Also, that's where Tony is right now. It is only the 9th ring out of 10, meaning that this goes deeper somewhere else, and the question is where. So you have Tony demanding for them to shut down the computer system here to stop the drones all over the nation attacking the military bases. Except that is when he learns that they were the ones who killed Josie, the girlfriend of Tony when he was younger, because they knew the company would pass off to him, but he wasn't acting like he wanted the company. So they killed her to get him back on the path of being ready to take over the company. Now to wrap everything up, you have the drones being stopped thanks to Tony in his digital version of Jarvis. But also you have that bodyguard from earlier come back in and shoot the twins before they can give Tony any more information about the Mandarin, which of course means Tony is going to have to dig deeper later, but that is when the place is set to self-destruct and Tony has to meet up with Rhodey outside so he can get a ride off the island and back home safely. To close on this book, we see that 2 days later, well underneath the base of where Tony was at, the 9th ring of the Mandarin, well we see that there is another secret base under that, which could be the 10th ring. The big reveal of this moment is that Howard Stark is still alive and he is hiding down there. Seems like he's planning to attack Tony and Stark Industries very soon. And this is where we are going to end today's video. So please hit that like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's video.